Good morning, Em. How are you?
Yes, good, thank you. Thank you so much for joining me on the podcast.
It's very nice to be invited. Coffee with Em. So I've got my coffee. I'm ready.
Lovely, amazing, brilliant. No, I definitely love my coffee too. So thank you for joining me. Great to have you on the podcast, Hayley. To start us off, could you first of all introduce yourself and also how you got into the fire and security industry? That would be great.
Yeah, of course. So I'm Hayley Joseph. Been in this industry probably 13, 14 years now. So it's quite a long time. In fact, my biggest chunk for a career, though I do spend normally a decade in each industry, but the security and fire industry has been a really interesting one. It was quite an accidental find, which you quite often find, don't you, with people in this industry? It's not sort
Yeah.
of like well known until you're in it, and then you realise what a lovely little click it is. But my history is always working in kind of like cold calling, telesales, like business development type roles. So I used to run teams of cold calling telesales people around the country. Sort of having people develop business fresh and cold off of the telephone. So communication, I suppose, was always my skill set. And I found myself having relocated with all my children, thinking, right, okay, what do I do? And I took a 6-month kind of like maternity cover in just a manufacturing company that was in my town, not knowing anything about them or anything about the security industry, and was pleasantly surprised to find it was really, really friendly. So, I was enjoying doing like a marketing role. So filling up USB sticks, getting sort of packs ready to send out to customers and what have you. And as I was doing my 6 months, I thought, you know what, nobody's picking the phone up and doing cold calling, which is really alien to me, because to me that, you want business, you chase it down. And they were like, oh, it's a quite a unique industry. Everyone knows everyone. And I thought, no, there's got to be a way to cold call. So I said to my then boss, who I'm still really close friends with now, a lovely lady called Sarah Fisher, if I do some cold calling, can I perhaps create a role for myself after the maternity cover's finished? And she was like, okay. So off I tried, and it was very successful. So that was the beginning of me never leaving this lovely industry.
Because that's your passion. You enjoy that, don't you? You enjoy, like you said, that communication. You're good with people, and you see that on your videos. Love your video posts that you do.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. I actually first started all of that, I suppose, years ago. I was working on a radio station, which I love. Yeah, I love communication in that format. I still listen to the radio now, and I just love the way you can have a voice coming out of some speakers and feel so connected and a part of something. So when I'd finished on the radio station, which was just like a voluntary role, I actually went to college and learned radio journalism, got a proper city and guilds for it and everything. And at the time, my children were quite young, so I think I was a bit scared to take it and make it into a career, because I wanted a PAYE, here's your wages form of security, I suppose. But the communication skill and being able to make someone feel part of your team within seconds, which of course you need to do when you're in a cold calling environment, I think the skill set kind of transferred across for me. So I think that might have been the
good fun as well.
Yeah, because
Is
in
there
a
certain type of
cold
music
call,
that you like on the radio, where you sort of putting on certain types of music, or?
oh no, it was horrible music. It was all drum and bass. I hated the music. I wasn't really as cool as I was pretending to be, but it was just something I chose to do when the kids were little. But yeah, I think in a cold call environment, you've got like a very short window of time before people are like, oh, what do you want? It's like when someone phones you at night and you're just trying to put your dinner on and they're trying to sell you, I don't know, double glazing or electricity or whatever it might be. You've got that tiny window to make a connection. And I think the radio work really helps with that. So, yeah.
No, I really like that. That's great. And also, you've been very successful in your career. I wondered if you could share with us perhaps some sort of personal mottos or guiding principles that have, contributed to your success.
Do you know, it's one that I tell my kids all the time and they hate me for it. It sounds so silly, but I think if you start every single day the way you want it to pan out. So I always get up with a big, massive smile on my face even if the alarm's gone off a little bit too early or whatever. So I'm up, I'm like, morning, I've got the kettle on, my bed's made before I've brushed my teeth, because I just think, oh, you know, we've all got challenges. You know, life's not always a bed of roses. But if you wake up and put on your best, happiest self so that you can see the good side of every day and what it has to bring you, you've got half a chance of taking the happy lane of life. And I think it's it's quite kind of catching, isn't it? You know, if someone gives you a big smile, it can brighten your day and make you smile, and it creates like a snowball effect. So I try and approach everything, every day, every challenge, every scenario, with my best foot forward. So I think that's kind of helped with everything, really.
Definitely, yeah. It's a really positive mindset, isn't it? It's having that like a mindset to start the day, like you say.
Yeah, but the kids still don't make their bed every morning.
Yeah, they're still got to do that.
Yeah. Absolutely. I keep telling them, you'll pass those GCSEs if you made your bed. They're like, whatever, Mom.
You're 5, aren't you? Is that right? So there's five children. How, and very different. What's the age range of the?
5 girls, amazing little band of warriors we are. So my eldest is 31 at the moment. My youngest is 15, and then it's like splattering in the middle. So at times, or if they're in trouble, I do call them 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Amazing, super mum. And obviously you're working at the moment for a company called Secure Logiq, and it's quite an interesting story to hear about how you got the role with them as a company. So could you share with us how that came about, your position with Secure Logiq?
Of course. But obviously you run a recruitment company, so maybe I shouldn't tell you, because I actually quite accidentally I'm working for what I consider to be the most amazing company in the world. I was watching a webinar, or taking part in a webinar actually, and the founder of Secure Logiq, everyone knows Mr. Robin Hughes, he was presenting Secure Logiq after me, and quite literally the presentation just blew my mind. Not only in the gregarious way that he presents, because he's very full of life and passionate, which obviously I love, you know, that kind of joie de vivre, if you will, but just the key principles. It was so simple. You know, if you've never heard of Secure Logiq, they have come into the security industry and created something that has never been done quite like the way they're doing it, and still to this day isn't. So pure manufacturing of an optimized solution for something that typically has always been used in an IT-centric way. So when you have software companies like your big IP cameras and video management systems and access control, all this good stuff that creates the beauty of an integrated security system, typically it's always stored on a server that processes and stores all of that good stuff, but was designed for an IT kind of environment, because it's IP transmission. Kind of, there's a big correlation between, you know, IP as a form of communication for these things and the IT kind of network, I suppose. However, what they are doing is manufacturing an optimized version of those products, but specifically and only designed for security. And it's just so simple, but makes such an enormous difference into the amount of product that's needed to make these things happen. Massively reducing, obviously, front-end expenditure for companies, but the energy saving by using less hardware and the sustainability piece is just mind-blowing. And for me, I heard Robin present that quite a lot better than I just did, and I just thought, that's insane. Wow. So on my next conversation with him, I flippantly said, you should hire me. And
yeah, you wanted to work there, yeah.
It's a bit in the middle between there and now, but here I am. I'm very happy to be so as well. It's really nice to represent a company that brings such sustainability, brings such uniqueness. And, you know, if you know the Secure Logiq team, you'll know they're just so easygoing, fun, obviously hardworking, and, you know, growing at a rate of knots, but just a fantastic place to be. I feel
It
very
does
safe
sound
and very at
fantastic.
home.
Yeah, you seem very happy, which is great. No, that's really good to hear. And what would you say, obviously within the industry as a whole, what would you say has been perhaps your most rewarding experience in the industry? What have you found the most rewarding, would you say?
Gosh, there's many highlights actually. I think the first one that springs to mind is how welcoming the industry really is, and I think probably is the key reason many people just never seem to leave. You know, people that are in this industry tend to stay because, like I said earlier, you know, I come from this kind of like cold calling, harsh, chase business kind of environment, and used to having to knock down doors myself. But in this industry, I found myself picking up the phone and people were like, yeah, of course, I'll help. You know, let me introduce you to so-and-so. And I very quickly felt part of this enormous family. And that's never changed. You know, even to this day, if I'm trying to approach something like an activity that I'm trying to do, the first thing I'll think is, right, who can I ask to give me a hand here? And because I've been in the industry a long time, another highlight, I suppose, is that people now come to me for exactly that. And I just love being able to put back into that pot, you know, back in the day to help me. And yeah, I'm lucky enough now for people to approach me, which is a real blessing. So yeah,
that's great. I definitely agree with that. It does feel like a family, doesn't it? It does feel like a really nice network where people are very supportive of each other. And you do sort of obligate to feel like you want to give back and support and help others, because when they do the same, it kind of sets the example, doesn't it, of everyone supporting each other. So nice, excellent.
Has that been your experience of it then?
Yeah, definitely would say.
How long
Yeah,
have you been in the industry? It's quite a long time.
It's been the last sort of 7 to 8 years. So that's been a majority of my network. But before that, very much of IT focused. So IT, digital, software. So that's another area that I support with. And that's vast. Obviously, IT is just huge, and that can be quite cutthroat as well. Whereas I find the fire and security industry, like you say, it is a bit friendlier, a bit nice. Yes. But yeah, we all kind of support each other. It's a nice sort of small network, isn't it? To say that everyone knows of someone else, and it's very supportive. So yeah, nice. And a big part of your role is partnerships. So I wanted to ask about your role in the partnership program, and basically what this entails, because partnerships has been quite a hot word as well in the industry. But just to explain what it is that you do with the partnerships.
Yeah, of course. So obviously, Secure Logiq, we manufacture optimized hardware. So without the software that requires our product, we are just one half of a scenario, I suppose. So when I joined the company, we had some very key partners, if you will. So companies that already utilized our hardware solutions, and a kind of part of my remit was to grow that. And as I started learning to pitch, I suppose, so this was like a different role for me. So I was learning on my feet. Started to develop in my pitch more of a membership kind of scenario, I suppose. Come join a partnership program. So kind of dressed it up into the way that I thought it should be received, rather than, do you just want hardware type scenario, albeit the best in the world. And I'm so lucky because the company supported me. So the partnership program has grown and grown, and we are so incredibly lucky now to be partnering with some of the biggest global players within the software application kind of industry for security, which is amazing. It's nice to see, very big companies actually sit back and think, okay, we see why optimization works. We see what it's going to deliver to our customers, and to watch those relationships grow and flourish. It's been fantastic.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's great, like you said, with that relationship building side of it, with all the key partners there. So that obviously boosts your brand as well, and then you're exposed to obviously different events that you go to. But that partnership, what does that entail? What does that involve, like to work together How does it work, basically?
Well, initially, all software companies have an idea of what hardware specification is required for their operations, and we'll often recommend that to customers when they are promoting within a project. And I suppose the initial, once you've got past the developing the relationships, is to look at what those specifications look like in terms of how we would propose. And then probably a step further, so once you kind of get into the partnership program, is actually having a look at what those specifications are doing currently, and ways that we as hardware experts would propose slightly differently, in terms of some of the processing draws, particularly in things like sort of analytics. So AI is a bit of a buzzword at the moment. Very, very heavy draw on some of the components. And if you're utilizing an off-the-shelf product to process these high-end applications, when you get to the end of your processing capability, it's natural just to increase the size of the hardware. Whereas because we are experts and been doing this for gosh, many, many, many years, we understand that when you hit like a wall, sometimes by changing a couple of the other components, you kind of get rid of like a bottleneck, I suppose, to put it simply. So it's the knowledge that Secure Logiq have to be able to develop a relationship with a partner and actually improve the way that the processing is done, so that we can get more bang for the buck, really, which is obviously massive, massive benefit to some of these companies, because though they're software companies, the price of the hardware that relates to what they're doing becomes, as important to winning business as the software itself and its capabilities. So it's been about kind of finding opportunities with these big companies, having someone that's, happy to sit and have a listen, and then sort of take that journey to the point where we can offer this optimized solution for them.
Yeah, no, that's great. Thank you for explaining that. That's amazing. That's great. And obviously, you've spoken about some of those partnerships. Is there a certain type of partner that you have, or do you offer like a range of different partnerships?
Well, as a true manufacturer, we are completely flexible because we kind of make our own rules. So there is a lot of flexibility. So though we've got kind of like a fixed range, we're always open to have conversations about how that might be tweaked to really create a true partnership, which is where, there's this maximum benefit to both parties. But I suppose on one end of the scale, we have what we'd call a typical true OEM partner. So a partner where we've built an optimized range for them. We have full branding options, so all of the bezels and kind of doors for the various different form factors will be fully branded for them. So for all intents and purposes, it's their product, even so far as the internal BIOS. So when people boot up those machines, all the branding goes as far as that, which is obviously what we can do because we manufacture from the ground up. That company would then obviously sell that product as part of a bundle, like a hardware software bundle. So that's kind of like one end of the partnership scale.
Yeah.
But, there are some partners that don't want to have to transact in hardware. If their business is purely software based, i.e., they don't have cameras and various other things attached to their range, having a hardware part as a part of their inventory can create all sorts of different kind of issues for them. So they don't want to transact, but they do want to have all the benefit of having like an optimized range, so they know that when someone buys the hardware, it's going to work straight out of the box. So we have like a recommendation type partnership program as well, where we do all the good stuff, but all the transactions still remains through Secure Logiq, and that can remain branded with us or powered by Secure Logiq with someone's logo, kind of a variety of things in the middle. But what that does is it gives people this optimized range and the security to know that, when the product's delivered, it's going to do exactly what it's supposed to. And we, for some of those partners, we actually preload all of their software as well. So it's a true plug and play delivery. So it's kind of like the ultimate way of having hardware on your range without actually physically having to sell hardware. So we kind of sprinkle around in the middle. And like I said, there's flexibility. So if anyone wants it to be slightly different to that, I'm all ears.
Yeah, sounds like yeah, that's great. And obviously, we talked about AI because is that creating a lot more data? You know, with a lot of the software that's been created now, is that what you're seeing, that they need this so much more now so that things work efficiently and work better?
Yeah, and it's such a huge buzzword, isn't it? You know, everybody's talking about ways to utilize video more than just, you know, the stereotypical CCTV that we had back in the day. You know, it's return on investment is, you know, what you're doing with that video, what you're doing with the data. So yes, we're finding analytics is being included in so many more projects, particularly when you're talking about things like safe cities and what have you, where people want to be able to analyze video, be able to track number plates and, you know, various different things, police forces, etc., etc. So analytics is very much a thing of the future, being able to analyze various data for many purposes, but it's very, very heavy on processing. So
yeah,
and
so it's a lot more, is it? Or it's the processing of that data, like
processing, yeah. So being able to analyze video, especially kind of in a fast timeline, which sometimes you need to do, you know, like being able to say, where's the guy with the red jumper gone? When did that car enter my town? You know, various things. The processing is very, very intense, let's say. And, you know, in the typical world that we spoke about earlier, where like IT-centric solutions were used, you hit that bottleneck of what the processing capability is quite quickly, because it just wasn't designed for that. So we've really come into our own with this type of application, because we're able to apply this optimization in terms of processing of AI, significantly reducing. We did some testing with one of our partners and reduced the hardware requirements by 40%, just by the knowledge of when that hits, we can change this and then we can do that type scenario. And I won't pretend that I know what my team does in any great detail, but I understand kind of like the theory behind it. And like I said at the beginning, it's so simple. However, if you're not a hardware expert, these things, you know, that's why building the partner program and having people come on board and being able to show them what we can do has just been, it's a joy. It's a joy.
Yeah,
so yes, to answer your question, analytics and the AI processing has massively changed storage landscape, and we are in an amazing position as a manufacturer to be able to support that, not having to fill up racks and racks of processing power. You know, it's the ability to utilize our R&D knowledge within sort of like the video and processing industry, and to offer that expertise to software partners around the world.
Excellent, thank you. So it's a lot more sort of tailor-made, and like you say, with the research that's done on exactly what it needs, rather than just, you know, this is a product, you know, here you go, it's sort of amended and adjusted to suit the needs of what that software needs.
Exactly, tailor-made. Perfect. See, if I just said that about 10 minutes ago.
No, I was just trying to get my head around it. A lot of the technology, obviously, I'm still learning how it all works. So
me too.
Me
too. But no, tailor-made is exactly the right way to describe it. So more than 95% of our product is customized in some way or another before it leaves the building. So nothing sits on our shelf. It's all built to order specifically for the application in hand, which is fantastic for us, because it means that we have the ability to ensure that every product is exactly right for application.
Like saying, an expertise.
Rule of thumb, yeah, if we go head to head with an IT-centric option, you know, I've known a 12U solution, which is basically 12 boxes turn into a 4U solution against an IT-centric offering. So there's nothing wrong with IT product. It's just that this is the security industry, and it has different needs.
That's different needs, yeah, amazing. Thank you. And there's always so much going on as well in the foreign security industry. Something else that I love about it. There's always sort of awards and events and exhibitions and things. And do you see yourself out on the road quite a bit? Or is there anything coming up that you're attending over the next month?
I try not to be too on the road, just because you're quite right. There's always something coming up, and I think for me, if I was going to all of them, I'd never be sat here doing my proper day job. So for me, I obviously support the company in all aspects of, you know, what we personally do, and, you know, in terms of my partners, 100%. But I'm a home girl. I've got my dog now and what have you. So I don't go out unless I feel like it's, you know, going to have a good impact. So that's probably why I do my Friday videos, just to sort of stay in touch with everybody. And then they're nice, actually. I know I've quite often bumped into somebody who knows me, perhaps more than I know them, because I'm always at the end of a quick skip through LinkedIn, maybe.
Yeah, definitely. It's very good on that.
Yeah.
I like your videos. And is it a weekly? Do you do them on a Friday? I noticed. Is it every Friday that you like
every
to put them out?
Friday? Yeah, it used to be when I was on my way to the office. I'd get in the car, always in a good mood, because it was Jeans Day Friday when I used to work in an office, and now I can't go and sit in the car and fake it. So it's quite often
Tell us about the space. Is this like your office setup that you've got? It looks pretty cool. I love it.
So I have like a summer cabin in the garden that I built for the children, actually. So when they were kind of going through teenage years, and there's not many places for them to hang up. So it was kind of their den, if you will. But they've got a bit older now and stopped using it. And I thought, do you know what? I'm going to nick it back. So I moved in here about 6 months ago. I quite like it. So I actually go to work now. I quite often tease the girls, I'm like, I hope the traffic's not too bad this morning. From the back door to the front door of the cabin.
It is nice having a place to work though, isn't it? Even if it is, like you say, like still at home, it's kind of like somewhere to like go to every day, isn't it? Like your own kind of space.
Absolutely, yeah. And when I first joined Secure Logiq, Ben, my boss, always said to me, you know, you need a proper place, you need a proper place. And I was like, you know, I'm fine. And it wasn't until I actually got in here, I had to phone him. I was like, you were right. It feels so cool.
No, I really like that. And you've got a couple of dogs. You were saying that you take out regularly on walks. Is it just the one dog or two dogs?
Just the one dog, but he feels like a whole herd.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast. Really interesting to hear how you got into the industry, and you know your experience and what you're working on and everything. So yes, really
honestly, thank you for the invite. It's been lovely to spend a bit of the morning with you. And we'll talk later about the school that we were discussing for the kids.
Yes, we will. Yeah, sounds like a plan. Yeah, lovely.
All right,
thanks. All right,
look after yourself. Bye.
Bye.